Good evening, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World and I'm your host, Ulaanbaatar. And for our top stories, the latest updates on COVID-19 status in Mongolia. Preparations for the opening of a new Ulaanbaatar International Airport are 85% complete. United Nations Development Program Mongolia COVID-19 impact on women and girls in Mongolia study results. And for the news, stay tuned. The Ministry of Health and National Center for Communicable Diseases provided the latest updates on COVID-19 status in Mongolia. 36 more new cases confirmed on Tuesday.
36 new COVID-19 cases have been confirmed in the past 24 hours after 6,564 people were tested nationwide, bringing the country's total number of cases to 3,372. 34 of 36 new cases were detected among close contacts of known patients who were already under observation, and the work of contact tracing to find the source of the infection for the other 2 cases is ongoing. The 2 patients reside in the 18th Hora of Seongun-Harhan district and the 15th Hora of Hangol district. 33 of the new cases were confirmed in Ulaanbaatar and 3 were confirmed in Tuv province. The total number of domestic cases is now 2,847. In the past 24 hours, 177 patients have recovered and have been discharged from hospitals. The total number of recovered patients has reached 2,765, making up 82% of all cases. Out of the 591 patients currently being treated, 531 are experiencing mild symptoms of illness, 54 have moderate symptoms, 3 have severe symptoms, and 3 are in critical condition. A total of 20,976 people have been vaccinated in the past 2 weeks. Officials say that the immunization campaign is being intensified starting today, with 10 to 13 times more people being vaccinated daily than in the past 2 weeks.
Today, the United Nations Development Program in Mongolia shared the results of its study on COVID-19 impact on women and girls in Mongolia, conducted in partnership with the Asian Development Bank and the National Committee on Gender Equality. According to the study results, the COVID-19 pandemic has escalated to unprecedented full-scale health and socioeconomic challenges with particular impact on women and girls that could further exacerbate existing inequalities.
This specialized and detailed study focused on 4 interlinked areas: social services, employment and income, government response measures, and vulnerability. The assessment found that the COVID-19 pandemic is widening socioeconomic, educational, and gender inequalities while affecting equality in terms of human rights and livelihoods in Mongolia's urban and rural communities. The assessment also provided findings on the various effects of the crisis and coping strategies with a particular focus on gendered socioeconomic impacts, such as women's disproportionate burdens of unpaid care work, domestic violence, access to essential social services, and insight on the impacts of the state of all-out readiness and strict lockdown measures. Women make up nearly 82% of all healthcare workers in Mongolia, which is much higher than the global average of around 70%. Women in Mongolia's healthcare sector are exposing themselves and their dependents to a significant risk of infection. Furthermore, women and girls bear an unequal share of unpaid care and the domestic work burden, which have increased significantly during COVID-19, negatively impacting their education, self-care, and development.
In Mongolia, women do 2.6 times more unpaid domestic care work than do men in Mongolia, so it's quite a heavy burden. Furthermore, domestic and gender-based violence we are seeing continue to increase during this situation. According to the National Statistics Office of Mongolia, domestic violence offenses have increased by 35% from the period in March to December 2020 compared with the same period in 2019. Women also remain significantly underrepresented in all aspects of decision-making in Mongolia as well as around the world. Only 17% of Mongolia's parliament members are women, which is well below the international average.
During the lockdown period, women with disabilities and pregnant women in particular have experienced challenges in getting urgent medical care, and the maternal mortality rate increased 27.8% compared to the past 3 years.
To support the Mongolian government in overcoming socioeconomic difficulties during this COVID-19 crisis, we are also supporting the implementation of health and social welfare programs. Further, through our budget support, we have set targets to ensure that female employees benefit from the social protection and job retention programs that the government has rolled out. The packages have also supported micro and small and medium enterprises where women make up a significant number of employees. Statistics show that women comprise nearly 60% of family and sole entrepreneur-owned businesses. Accelerating progress in gender equality is one of 7 operational priorities of ADB's Strategy 2030. Under our forthcoming country partnership strategy for Mongolia, gender remains to be a thematic priority, cutting across 3 strategic pillars of our country partnership strategy covering 2021 to 2024.
According to the results of the study, the government of Mongolia should consider further gender-responsive policy options to ensure human rights in public service delivery, improve prevention and the early identification of gender-based and domestic violence, continue the current social protection measures, strengthen the digital capacity and skills of women, foster women's entrepreneurship and engagement in decent work, and increase women's participation in the decision-making process related to COVID-19 response and recovery. UNDP Deputy Resident Representative Nashida Sattar said we need a gender-sensitive, long-term strategy to mitigate the impacts. If not, it's very probable that the huge gains Mongolia has made over the years on gender equality will be lost, and it would be difficult to catch up. The second part of the virtual launch of the study results included a panel discussion. Panelists from the National Human Rights Commission, National Coordinator of Mon Femnet Network, Men Healthy Family Center NGO, and the Independent Research Institute of Mongolia answered questions and discussed issues regarding COVID-19's impacts on women and girls in Mongolia.
Mongolia plans to reopen the air border crossing on May 1st. Prime Minister of Mongolia, Oyerden, visited new Ulaanbaatar International Airport and toured its traffic control tower, aircraft maintenance building, one-stop service center and passenger service buildings.
The new airport will be commissioned on July 1st, as discussed with the project's Japanese organizers. New Ulaanbaatar International Airport is located in Serglensum of Tuv province, and preparations for its opening are 85% complete. The rest of the work needs to be completed quickly. Officials say that some operations currently taking place at Chingiz Khan International Airport can be relocated to the new airport within 24 hours, since departure and arrival schedules would not be disrupted.
Currently, we are working with 303 staff to complete all preparations for the opening of the new airport. We have informed the government of Mongolia of kind of support is needed in order to resume normal and stable operations in the aviation sector. First of all, policy support is needed in addition to the opening of air border crossings and the resuming of scheduled international flights. In order to increase the flow of air passenger traffic, the country also needs to ease its quarantine and monitored isolation policy. We have conducted some calculations. In connection to the relocation of air carriers that operate regularly scheduled flights, 8.9 billion Mongolian tugrux in support will be needed, and 284 billion Mongolian tugrux in support is necessary for the stabilization of the air transport sector. The government of Mongolia understands our tourism sector's struggle due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This Wednesday, cabinet members will discuss this issue. Anyhow, we are working towards opening the border on May the 1st and launching new Ulaanbaatar International Airport on July the 1st.
With the opening of the new airport, aerodrome use will go from the current 73% to 98%. Air transit will increase and aviation security will improve. New air routes will be opened, which will increase passenger traffic and cargo turnover. Currently, there are 4 airlines operating in the Mongolian aviation sector. They operate 13,136 flights a year, provide passengers with 1.59 million seats, and carry 1.14 million passengers. Mongolian Airlines transported 1.6 million passengers in 2019. Last year, they transported 440,000 passengers, most of whom were mining sector workers. In 2019, Mongolian air carriers transported 5.7 thousand tons of freight and mail, but freight decreased by 2.7 thousand tons, or 52%, in 2020. In addition, the number of flights decreased by 48.1% in 2020, falling from 151,772 to more than 78,000. Air transport revenue in 2020 decreased by 140 billion Mongolian turkish, or 71.9% compared to 2019. During his visit to the new airport, the Prime Minister was also briefed on the status of construction and investment in the area city sports complex.
Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
France, through the European Union, has provided €54,000 or 184 million Mongolian turkish in aid to Mongolia to support its COVID-19 response measures. Minister of Health Iqbal, Ambassador of the European Union to Mongolia Laurentia Christeia, and French Ambassador Philippe Merlin attended the ceremony for the handover of the aid. During the event, Minister Iqbal voiced his pleasure with the steady development of Mongolia-France relations and cooperation in the healthcare sector, and for the French training of Mongolian healthcare workers for many years. The Minister of Health expressed his deep gratitude to the European Union and France and its people for the assistance crucial to tackling challenges in the country during the global pandemic.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. The 2021 Tashkent Judo Grand Slam was held on March 5th through 7th in Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan, bringing together 497 judokas from 71 nations. The Mongolian team ranked second after Japan, with 2 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze medal win.
The tournament lasted for 3 days. The competition not only awarded Olympic qualifying points, but also a cash prize of $154,000. Due to a scheduling conflict with the Grand Slam in Paris, there were few competitors from Europe. Japan and Mongolia took most of this year's top spots in Tashkent. The Japanese team won a staggering 11 medals, including 9 gold, 1 silver and 1 bronze medal. Mongolia came in second with 5 medal wins. The 2013 world champion from Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar, triumphed on day 1 in Tashkent. She beat 2018 Masters champion Tsunoda Natsumi from Japan in the finals, winning the gold medal in her weight class. Munhwat said in an interview that she had been perfecting a special technique especially for this tournament. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, she has won the most medals from the International Judo Federation's continental and world competitions. Grand Slam medals were presented by President of the National Olympic Committee of Uzbekistan, Rustam Shavkat-Rahmanov. Munhwat took home her first IGF World Tour gold medal since 2018. Also on day 1, Sosi Baram claimed a silver medal in the women's under 52 kg category, while Baskul became a silver medalist in the men's under 66 kg event. On the second day of the tournament, the Mongolian national anthem was played for the second time when Tohtwater topped the men's 73 kg category. He won a gold medal in his match with Kazakhstan side against Mogulov. The two judokas were equally matched, but in the end, the Kazakh athlete lost to Tohtwater. On the last day of the competition, Gonchik Surung won a bronze medal in the under 100 kg category. However, speculations that world champions Sumya, Said Molay and Hirtlin would win medals did not come to pass.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.